You ever get that feeling like we're all just constantly at each other's throats? I mean, from politics, right down to the person who just cut you off in traffic, it feels like moral outrage is just everywhere. But what if I told you there's a single, simple master key that unlocks the reason why we fight about everything? Okay, let's get in.
So picture this. It's a totally normal day. You're just driving, maybe on your way home from work, kind of zoning out, minding your own business. Nothing special.
Then, out of nowhere, you see it, a giant pothole right in front of you. You don't even think, you just react. You yank the wheel just enough to swerve around it. It's just a split-second move to save your tires.
And that's when it happens. The car behind you, this big Mercedes, just lays on the horn. Beep! They start flashing their lights, and then they're right on your bumper, tailgating you like crazy. You can practically feel the anger coming from that car.
And right here, this is the core of the problem. In your head, you're the victim of a reckless jerk who almost rear-ended you. But in their head, they're the victim of a dangerous maniac who almost caused a massive pileup. See? You both feel totally morally justified. You both think the other person is the one who did something wrong, the one who caused the harm.
Now, this exact same dynamic, this feeling of being the righteous one, it doesn't just happen on the road. It's playing out everywhere, on a massive scale, and it's shaping our entire world. That intense gut feeling that you are absolutely in the right and the other person is just dangerously, obviously wrong, that is the engine driving our modern world. It's the exact same feeling you had in the car, just with way, way higher stakes.
And this isn't just a vibe either. Look at this. Today, a staggering 75% of political issues are completely stuck in gridlock because of these moral divides. Back in the 1940s, that number was only 30%. We have become paralyzed by how sure we are that we're right.
And this quote from researcher Kurt Gray just hits the nail on the head. He says we've moved way past just disagreeing on policy. Now, we increasingly see the other side not just as wrong, but as fundamentally bad people, as evil.
So, in a world that's this divided, how do we even start to make sense of it? Well, it turns out there might be a surprisingly simple idea that explains almost all of it, a kind of Harma master key. I mean, think about it. For all our differences, for all the yelling and the outrage, is there some basic fundamental piece of our human psychology that we all share? Something that could actually explain why we all act this way?
Yes, there is, and it all comes down to one single word: harm. Every moral judgment you make, every spark of outrage you feel, every single political battle, at the very bottom of it all is a perception of harm.
Psychologists have a term for this, the harm-based moral mind. It's like this universal lens we all wear to see the world. We are all constantly, and usually we don't even realize we're doing it, we are all constantly scanning for potential harm. It's like the shared operating system for how we judge right and wrong.
So let's dig into the mechanics of this. How does it actually work inside our heads? What's the blueprint our brain is using to make these calls on what's right and what's wrong? Well, it's all explained by something called the theory of dyadic morality. I know, it sounds super academic, but it's actually built on a really simple template. Our brain is always looking for a moral dyad, which has just two parts. First, an intentional agent, that's someone doing something, and second, a vulnerable patient, that's someone being affected by it. And the key, the thing that makes it all click, is that arrow in the middle, perceived harm. This little template, agent, patient, harm, it's like our brain's moral shortcut. Whenever we see something happen, our mind instantly tries to plug the people and actions into this pattern. Who's the agent, who's the patient, and is there harm? If the pattern fits, boom, our moral alarm bells start ringing. And this template is so powerful, our brains will actually invent harm, even when there's none to be found. Take the classic thought experiment about two adult siblings who consensually have sex. They use protection, no one gets hurt, no one ever finds out. Logically, there's no physical harm, but almost everyone has this visceral gut reaction that it's just wrong. Why? Because our moral mind infers a different kind of harm, a harm to the idea of family, to social norms. We are just wired to find a victim. Okay, now this is where it gets really powerful. Once you get this harm framework, you can apply it to our biggest, ugliest political fights and see them in a totally new way. Let's take the abortion debate. Both sides are completely driven by a sincere perception of harm. The pro-choice side sees the patient as the woman. The harm they're focused on is the violation of her bodily autonomy, her health, her future. The pro-life side sees the patient as the fetus, and for them, the harm is the ending of a life, you see?
It's not a fight between good and evil. It's a fundamental clash over who the patient is.
And you see the exact same pattern in the immigration debate. One side sees the patient as the desperate family fleeing violence and poverty. For them, the harm is turning those people away. The other side sees the patient as the local community. The perceived harm is things like economic strain or a potential rise in crime. Both sides are genuinely trying to prevent a harm they believe is real.
So, where does that leave us? What do we do with this information? Knowing that we're all wired to see harm doesn't magically solve everything, but it does give us a place to start. It gives us a new tool.
And this is absolutely the most important part. This whole framework, it is not a weapon to prove that your side is right and their side is wrong. It's not about winning the argument.
The goal isn't even necessarily to agree with them. The goal is to understand why they believe what they believe. To see the world through their harm lens, just for a second. Understanding is the first real step away from all the gridlock and contempt.
So I want to leave you with a little challenge. The next time you're scrolling online or talking with a relative or even just watching the news, and you feel that familiar flash of outrage start to bubble up, just for a second, pause and ask yourself one simple question.
Just try to figure out who their agent is, who their patient is, and what harm they see. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to think it's valid, but just the act of trying to see it can change everything. That's the master key, and it might just be the thing that unlocks a more productive and, honestly, a less angry conversation.